What up, family? We're live here with your boy DJ C, and in this video I want to talk about top 4 title fight upsets in the UFC that are likely to happen. And I will be ranking these in order from 4 to 1, 4 being least likely, 3 being a happy medium, 2 being it's very likely, but second last, and number 1 being the most probable to happen. And these 4 upsets that could happen, these 4 fights, I'm going to be talking about fights that are already booked, fights that are already scheduled. And as we all know, upsets, in MMA and even in the UFC and even in title fights, they're not uncommon. We've seen the world get shocked on multiple occasions, and we know in this crazy sport of MMA, anything can happen. Nothing is a given at this level. But what will be included on this list will be basically challengers, underdog challengers against champions, not underdog champions who got upcoming rematches where they're expected to lose, like Grasso, because if she wins again, it's not really an upset. She already did it before. She's just an underdog because of who she's fighting. But let's get into this list of top 4 title fight upsets that might happen in the UFC in these next 4 official title fights. Number 4, Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. I know style-wise, on paper, this matchup should favor Aljamain Sterling because he's a very strong wrestler, grappler. And Sean O'Malley in this fight is just a pure striker with a one-track path to victory. He has a puncher's chance, But on paper, Aljo should just go out there, wrap him up, choke him out, quick night. But in a lot of these fights where someone is heavily counted out and everyone expects the favorite to just absolutely run through the underdog, the opposite usually happens. And a lot of people are expecting this matchup to be easy work for Aljamain Sterling. He's just going to get a hold of him, choke him out, which is the likely outcome. However, Sean O'Malley is very dangerous and his chances are very underrated. Because obviously he's going to be super prepared for the grappling, the takedowns of Aljo. And he does have ways he could win this fight. I mean, he's got the height and length. And he could potentially use that distance management to keep Aljo on the outside. He can make it very difficult for Sterling to get in close, to get a proper takedown. And as long as they're on the feet, that's when Aljo is going to be in the most danger because O'Malley's got the reach. He's got better boxing, and he's got that precision in his punches, and he's extremely powerful. And obviously, if he can connect on Aljamain Sterling, he could very well hurt him badly, and he could potentially stop him, or he could even draw out a bad takedown and time a counter, like a knee, to catch Aljo off guard and get a finish. And I can also see O'Malley doing a lot better in this fight than people expect. Like, this fight could be more drawn out and more competitive than people are anticipating. And O'Malley just might have some moments. Aljamain Sterling may not be the lock that people expect him to be. Although, yes, the matchup favors Aljamain Sterling. It's not a good look that Peter Yan went out there, took him down 6 times. Aljo's a better wrestler than Peter Yan. So obviously, what's Aljo going to do if Yan can do that to you? But you just never know. What if his takedown defense is up to par? Or what if his footwork and distance is enough to stifle Aljo from finding a good shot? And then he knocks Aljamain Sterling out before Aljo can get a hold of him. Or what if he somehow survives the grappling and Aljo gets tired and O'Malley makes him pay? What if O'Malley surprises him with good takedown defense and submission defense? It could potentially end badly for the Funk Master. And also O'Malley's going to get better. He's young and he's going to keep improving. And people are going to keep doubting him, and he could potentially keep surprising people. But we shall see. Moving up the list, number 3, Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos. And I think y'all know why this fight has upset potential written all over it. Because we all know how good Weili is. We know how dominant she is. We know that there's a huge skill gap between herself and all the other strawweights. It's Weili, Rose when she's active, and everyone else is kind of behind. But Amanda Lemos, she does have the tools to potentially pull off an upset. You know, Amanda Lemos has length. She's got boxing. She has power. She's very explosive. And we know that Zhang Weili does have a bit of sus defense. Her striking defense, her boxing defense isn't the greatest. She's there to be hit. We've seen her get rocked before. We've seen her get knocked out before. And if someone like Amanda Lemos, especially in the early rounds when she's fresh and at her most dangerous, that's where Weili's going to need to be the most careful. And the longer they're in a striking match, there's always a chance that in some kind of exchange that Amanda might catch her. You know, she might catch her in a firefight if Weili's not careful or doesn't get an early takedown. And we saw in Lemos's last fight, she was able to go deep into round 3 and get a finish, showing some improved cardio. So we shall see what happens. I know on paper, Weili should win this fight more times than not, 8 or 9 out of 10 times. But there could always be one given outcome where Weili does get caught and potentially overwhelmed and finished by Amanda Lemos. And then number 2, Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis. This could very well happen because Dricus is that guy that you don't expect anything from him. You know, he's easy to overlook, although he's coming off a knockout win over Whitaker. So I don't think anyone's going to underestimate him, but knowing who he's fighting, Israel Adesanya, the last stylebender, the 2-time middleweight champion who's been a champion for so long, so many title defenses. He's yet to be, I mean, he's already lost at middleweight, never mind, but he just got the belt back from a guy that already beat him. And right now it seems like he's unstoppable again. But Dricus du Plessis, man, he's extremely dangerous. He's got that durability. He's got this awkward pressure to him. Although I don't think he'll have much success in the striking with Israel. It's that grappling, it's that strength that's worrisome for me, you know, when he goes up there against Israel Adesanya. And I really hope this doesn't happen because I would be pissed. Nothing against Dricus du Plessis. Israel Adesanya is just my boy. And I don't want to see him lose the belt again after he just got it back. But we cannot count Dricus du Plessis out. And I think he's got a very good shot at defeating Israel Adesanya. And do not be shocked if he does pull the upset. And number 1, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Everyone is expecting Stipe to lose. Stipe Miocic is a massive underdog. You know, the odds are not in his favor. He's 40 plus. He hasn't fought in 2.5 years. He's coming off a brutal knockout loss. And now he's fighting the great Jon Jones, who's more recently coming off a dominant win over Ciryl Gane. The assumption is that Jon is just going to go out there and steamroll Stipe, and maybe he does, but you can't count out a guy like Stipe Miocic. He's an absolute veteran, and he's got that old man strength. His wrestling is very solid too, so that's going to translate to him having very good takedown defense, and on the feet, he is a threat to Jon Jones. He's got power. He's got boxing. His pressure is very imposing. He's very good at cutting off the octagon. And who knows, there's a good chance that he could stuff takedowns, get in range, get in Jon Jones's face and put hands on him. And maybe he could light Jon Jones up and he could potentially shock the world. Although this shouldn't be a shocker because we know who Stipe is. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time, and if anyone right now is going to beat Jon Jones, it's him, Stipe Miocic, but no one is expecting it. However, of all these 4 fights, I don't believe that all 4 upsets are going to happen. I do think a good amount of these favorites are going to win, but I do feel like it's only fitting that we're at least going to get 1 or 2 upsets out of these 4 fights. You know, I mean, it's not crazy to think that all 4 favorites will win, but I can very well see a bit of a shakeup happening in either of these fights, whether it be the men's bantamweight division, the strawweight division, the middleweight division or the heavyweight division, because anything can happen and it is a crazy sport. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you see any of these upsets happening? Do you think none will happen? Do you think all 4 will happen? Which ones do you see happening? Like and subscribe, and peace out.